Joining us now by phone, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand. Thanks so much for joining us, Senator.
My pleasure.
New York State now has the most cases of coronavirus in the U.S. Governor Cuomo announced today all non-essential businesses will close at 8 p.m. on Sunday. Now, we've heard from both Cuomo and Mayor de Blasio. They've said that they don't have the resources that they need. In your estimation, is New York getting the assistance that it needs from the federal government?
No, New York and every other state in the country still do not have the testing they require. They also are experiencing shortages of masks and gloves and ventilators. And so the truth is the country was not ready for this on any level, and the federal government has not done a good job in getting testing to all states. They delayed, first of all, by saying only tests can be done through the CDC. Now, finally, the Trump administration has finally allowed every lab in America to do their own tests. But still, I was talking to my county executives from around the state today, and almost every single one of them said, we are running out of tests. We can only do 100 or 200 a day. For a community as large as 1 million people, that's not sufficient. And so even statewide, they are lacking in the supplies and resources they need to meet the need in our state.
And let's talk about meeting the financial needs. Your colleague, Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, has proposed a $1 trillion stimulus package. Do you plan on supporting that? And is that enough? I mean, would that be sufficient to help a single mother in Albany who may now be out of a job for several weeks?
It won't be enough, and unfortunately, Senator McConnell has the wrong priorities in his bill. His bill is not pro-family. It is not pro-worker. It puts corporations before people, and it doesn't do nearly enough to address the public health crisis. What I've heard from my hospitals around the state, they need a Marshall Plan. They need an infusion of money to have the resources they need, the infrastructure they need, and the support for the people that they need. They also need to hold these corporations accountable. If we're going to help companies, we have to make sure they don't have stock buybacks. They don't have CEO pay increases, common sense things that we can require if we're going to give them this kind of money. We also, the bill undermines paid leave and sick leave. We want to have a national paid leave plan so for every worker, they can take up to 3 months off to be with their families if they are sick, to be with children who have been sent home from school. Parents need that flexibility, and they need to be able to take time off if they're sick. We also want to guarantee 2 weeks of sick days for every worker. So that stuff is not in McConnell's bill, and so it's not nearly good enough. I do think we're going to need more than $1 trillion of investment as time goes on, but the first instance, it has to have paid leave. It has to expand resources for hospitals. It has to have unemployment insurance for every unemployed worker. And we have to make sure there's a real support for small businesses.
Do you support the government sending checks to Americans? Some of your colleagues believe that more than that is necessary. What's your plan to help struggling New Yorkers, for example?
So I think both paid leave, unemployment insurance, and sick days will be more valuable ultimately than just a check. For example, if every worker had paid leave, they'd have 3 months fully paid for, and they'd be getting 66% of their salary, up to $4,000. So $4,000 is better than $1,000, and you want to make sure that people have access to their income, or at least a portion of it. Second, unemployment insurance needs to be generous, far more generous than unemployment insurance is in most states. In some states, it's as low as $500. So we have to make sure that people are getting the kind of resources they need to put food on the table and pay their bills. We're also looking for some kind of pause on mortgages and on rent payments, some kind of legal ability for people to defer those payments till after this crisis, and that's something we can make resources available for as well. I think it'll be very important that we make that possible.
And switching gears here, several of your colleagues, reportedly Senator Richard Burr and Senator Kelly Loeffler, sold stocks after receiving a classified briefing about coronavirus. They're being accused of insider trading, or at the very least unethical behavior. Burr says that he relied solely on public information, and Loeffler says that she's not involved in decisions around buying and selling stocks. Do you think that both or either should resign?
I think both of these allegations need to be thoroughly investigated by the Department of Justice. I wrote the Stock Act, which is the law that says members of Congress cannot engage in purchasing or selling of stocks based on non-public information that they received because of their jobs. both of these allegations appear that they had non-public information, top secret briefings, closed-door briefings, well in advance of the American public having that kind of information. And if they did buy or sell stocks with that information to profit themselves, obviously that needs to be thoroughly investigated as a violation of the Stock Act.
Well, considering that you wrote the bill, can you assure now the American people that you personally have not used inside information to sell off stocks or make a profit before the American public realized what was happening?
Yes, I can promise you that. I don't own any stocks.
Very simple answer. Okay, thank you. And lastly, what is the single thing that you're most concerned about as we go forward in these challenging times?
The thing I'm most concerned about is that people are safe. It's important that we help our first responders have the tools they need to attack this virus head on. We need testing, every kind of testing made immediately available. Most places around my state, testing is limited. They're only actually able to test the very sick. So anybody who just has the symptoms of coronavirus can't just go and get a test, which means it's harder to stop the spread. So until we have rapid testing and readily available testing for anyone who's sick, we have no chance of limiting the spread of the coronavirus. Second, I want to make sure people have resources so that if they have lost their job or need to take leave because their children are home or because someone in their family is sick, they need access to real national paid leave, they need access to paid sick days, and they need access to unemployment insurance if they don't have it. And then if there's still people who are falling through the cracks, those individuals should be given employment insurance and just a straight-up check written so they can stay afloat during these next weeks and months ahead.
All right, Senator Gillibrand, thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.